Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. We're back. Yay. Let's see how we can get suspended today.
Yeah, let's get the channel kicked off again.
I am Hammer, and I'm joined by my two favorite Wednesday show hosts, Jen T. Maxey.
Hello.
And Terry Diamantis.
Hello.
How you doing, Jen?
I am Barbara Streisand out.
Yeah.
I will trade you your Mariah Carey because they haven't played her at all. I'm like, I got a week left to go, and then she's done anyway. So I'll trade you for Barbara Streisand because I'm sick of her too.
Okay. How you doing, Terry?
I'm all right. I got annoyed at my cleaner for being late, but other than that, always well.
Yeah, what did he do? Ask you for some extra time and then was late anyway?
Yeah, so he was supposed to be 10 o'clock yesterday, and he messages me saying, can he clean today instead of yesterday? And I'm like, well, there should be enough time for you to clean and be done before the stream starts. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then he turns up half an hour late. I've already changed the time to accommodate him, and he turns up half an hour late. I was not happy.
He should give you some free shirts or something. Free cleaning or something.
That's not going to happen.
Before we get into topics, why don't we go ahead and say hello to all the people in chat. We missed you, chat.
Yeah.
Jen, you want to take care of the chat?
I'll do YouTube first. Alrighty.
Okay.
And let me just scroll to the top. And we start with a hammer. Hug, hug, hug. And then we got a Keeper Dam. And we got Terry. And let's go down a little bit. We got Mesh. Hi. And we got Lisa. Hello, Lisa. And we got a Cynic. Do okay, Cynic. And hello, Green. How y'all doing?
Okay. And Terry, you want to take care of Rumble?
So we start off with theonetonhammer, who is a good friend of the show. Then there is Casual. Then there is me. I don't know. No one needs to know that. There's Tier Alexander. So there goes the neighborhood. Cannibalistic Wizard. JB. I think that might be everyone. Not yet. I think that's everyone.
We actually started Rumble real early. I think it was like quarter after we started Rumble.
Yeah. About 45 minutes of pre-show.
You guys got a lot of extra pre-shows in.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Well, I think it's neat that we actually do start early. Like I know you guys jump in and chat a little bit, but usually I finish Polly's stream, which he never mentions us at all. But you know what? Fair enough, Polly. I'll shout you out for free. But he kind of sometimes it's 6 o'clock, sometimes it's like 10 after 6, but he was like 3 after 6, so
yeah.
But then Rumble's
show, the
still
AAA show, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because he does a bunch of shows. He does Noir Bar too, right?
Yeah, he overworks a little bit. He knows he does, but yeah, he did he's back on AAA with them. I think he's still happy with what he's doing. Yeah. I only say that because he's one of like 3 people that I know are workaholics, and I have to stop myself from poking them and telling them to go to sleep.
Of course, we'll have more people stop by as the show goes on. Why don't we go ahead and go over the topics for tonight? The first one on the list is De-ballot.
Tier was here. I'm sorry. Sorry for interrupting. I just saw that. Sorry, Tier.
The first topic for tonight is De-ballot. You probably heard that a couple of states are trying to get Trump off the ballot. The latest entry to this is California, who's looking for a way to get the Trump off the ballot. Of course, this is all going to end up going past SCOTUS, and SCOTUS is going to bring up a big hammer and just beat these states into submission. There's no way that this is going to go through. The second topic is Pierced, and this is just something from Twitter that's been going around. A picture of Pierce Brosnan's wife before and after 4 kids, where beforehand she was thin and afterwards she's kind of on the chonky side. And it's drawing a lot of strife because the feminists and the red pillars at each other's throats about it. So
as they always are.
We'll get into all of that. And then finally, we didn't put this on the list, but me and Terry talked about it before I started to think the pre-show, was a small video on Twitter of 2 fighters. And well, actually, why don't you tell them, Terry?
So basically, the instant the bell rings to start the fight, one boxer just flattens the other with like a surprise attack. And like he just goes straight down. And the whole conversation is, was this a cheap shot or is this fair play? And people have just been, discussing whether or not he was in the right to make the attack that he made.
What's your opinion on it?
As I will read you my tweet because I said, honestly, if you're a professional athlete, you have an obligation to do everything within the rules to win. He found a winning play and got rewarded for it. If you don't want people doing this, the rules need to change, not the athletes.
Jed, did you see the video?
I saw a clip of it, but yeah. I kind of thought there was probably more to the video for me to see, for me to really gauge anything.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, like it looked like they were in the ring.
They were.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. The reason I'm not a boxer is because I don't want to get hit in the face. That's why I'm not a boxer.
Oh man, that's pure comedy right there. I don't want to get in the face.
That is entirely fair.
That's a probably good reason.
Like,
so my sense is the match had started. The bell signifies the start of the match. He was fully within his rights to punch the opponent, and so he did.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looked like to me. And I know I don't fight. I don't watch fighting. But yeah, I'm sorry if you're afraid of getting hit in the face when you go into a rink where you're gonna get hit in the face if you don't cover your face. And there's this scene in Dragon Ball, bringing up Dragon Ball Z again because I used to watch the abridged version. But Piccolo used to say "dodge" a lot.
Well, my opinion on this is I don't know if you guys have watched a boxing match all the way through from the beginning, but before the bout starts, the referee will come out and will have both of the opponents and he'll grab them by the wrist and say, "These are the rules." And one of the rules he'll say, it's usually the last thing he says, he'll say something along the lines of, "And remember, protect yourself at all times." It's that exact phrase that he uses. So as soon as that bell goes bing, all bets are off.
You should have protected yourself.
You should have followed the rules. You should have protected yourself. And I think when Terry and I talked about it before the show, this reminds me of the movie $1 Million Baby, because I think it was in the second or third round of her last fight. The bell rings to end the round, but the opponent cheats and hits her after the bell. She heard the bell and dropped her hands. So she wasn't protecting herself at all times, including whether the bell was rung or not.
Right.
And she got hit, knocked down, and on her way down, she hit the chair that she was going to go sit in between rounds, and it broke her neck. So it went from being this Rocky movie where, fighters and, you see a typical boxing movie into it completely turned the entire movie into something that it spent 90% of its time being. And it won like 4 Academy Awards. It was a huge hit. So, but defend yourself at all times. Even when you have no reason to defend yourself anyway. So he got what he, if you don't follow the rules, you will suffer to them. So that's what happened. My opinion.
I can't help wondering if a lot of the people who form opinions on boxing aren't like the same people who didn't really watch wrestling. Like, yes, wrestling, it's not real fighting, but it is. Like, it's not real fighting, but they are kind of fighting.
It's I don't think it's fair to say the wrestling is fake. The wrestling is scripted.
Yes, that's what I mean by that. And I think they think like there are some people who don't make the connection that both things are completely like they're different.
Yeah.
Like they're still different. Like there's no, when people are fighting in boxing, like, yeah, it's a real fight. Like that's what they sign up to do. It's not scripted, but you get people on Twitter or on the internet. I don't think a lot of kids necessarily watch that stuff unless they come from a family that did. It's kind of like that nowadays. Like,
no, but I would draw comparisons to. I don't know if you two are familiar with it, but in 1980 there was an incident in cricket where the Australian team, the New Zealand team needed 6 runs to win, and so the Australian team bowled underarm, so that it's basically impossible to hit a 6 off an underarm bowl. And so everyone was saying that Australia cheated. And They didn't, because Greg Chappell, who was the Australian captain, spoke to the umpire and asked the legality of doing it, and the umpire said, no, that is technically within the rules. So I don't think Australia did anything wrong.
It's good strategy, right?
But I also think that the Australian cricket, the International Cricket Board, sorry, did the right thing in changing the rules so that no one could ever do it again. Because if you allow that strategy, then everyone is going to bowl underarm all the time because it's impossible to score runs. So I do think it was a brilliant idea by Greg Chappell, but I think it was also entirely necessary for the International Cricket Board to not allow anyone to ever do that again.
Yeah.
So we don't really have the story of having a cheater, but the one time we did have a guy get caught out for doing the no-no, the only thing that has commonality to recent times was pot related. Here's the thing, though. Everybody in Canada was aware that yes, no, he broke the rules. Yeah, no, he has to pay the fine. No, he doesn't get an award for it. We wanted to give him his own separate award for being the one guy who could pull that move off while stoned as shit, because it was a snowboarding event. We were kind of like, you idiot. You could have killed yourself. But I don't even think he was high. I think it was just one of those things where he was around people who were smoking. You can have it traced in your blood if you're near people who were smoking.
Yeah.
But all the same, we stood by that opinion. No, like, you broke the rules. You got to man up to that part. You know, we can appreciate that you did something while stoned and be kind of impressed if you did. But no, that's just how it is. There's, and he did take ownership for it. He was like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't. I should have been away from people while they were stoned, at least now, while I was being an Olympic athlete. And
yeah,
that's how it was. I think he kind of had regrets that he wasn't stoned, because he was like, would they been impressed if I'd done it stoned? And I'm like, yeah, we would have been. You wouldn't have gotten the award for it, but we would have given you your own.
Marijuana is not a performance increasing, but it is a pain reducing.
Yes, that's why. Yeah. It's assumed that you're using it to keep going longer.
No, but I think it doesn't matter. Even if the effect of marijuana is 100% detrimental, if the rules say you're not allowed to have it in your system, then you're not allowed to have it in your system.
That's the rules. That's what and that's.
If the rules say that you can't compete while drunk, I can't imagine being drunk gives you any competitive advantage. But if the rules say you can't be drunk, then you can't be drunk. It doesn't matter if it's a bad idea to do that in the first place. Rules are rules.
And I agree with that. Like I said, I'd still be impressed if somebody pulled shit off while drunk. But yeah, you broke the rules. That's because you can't set a precedent, because it's dangerous.
Yeah. So yeah, I think whatever the rules say, you got to follow them. But if you can come up with a brilliant strategy that is within the rules but no one's thought of before, then you deserve the rewards of the victories that will get you.
It's like, I don't doubt that a lot of extreme sports people, because extreme sports don't necessarily get recorded as Olympic athletes, because it's not recorded where people are seeing it. You don't have a crowd of people seeing it. But a lot of those people, like, at least up here that I know, yeah, they're stoners. Like, you should have your own Olympics. It's things you do when you're stupidly out of your mind.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of weed, just in general. I think
neither am I.
It's
really not my thing. No. So
I'm not saying that to support it. I'm just saying, back in my day, I knew a lot of owners who would like skydive and shit, and I'm like, well, okay, whatever floats your boat. I wouldn't do both of those at the same time, but
So I think
you sound like
Tara's complaining about the birds. So
I like them.
You're going to have to get used to that, Tier. Where I live, there's birds. You will hear them.
You have to understand, there's somebody who keeps posting clips of kokopos. Or not kokopos. I can't remember what they're called, but they're from your neck of the woods. They're cute as hell. I don't doubt they're annoying as hell to wake up to every morning, but
Yeah. No,
Are these
I mean,
birds outside or are these pets?
they're outside.
oh, I have no pets. These are outside my window.
They're
Because
loud for being outside the window.
I
Parrots?
live on a street with a lot of trees. So where there's trees, there's birds that live in them. So
Yep.
yeah, directly outside my window is a tree with like a whole bunch of birds in it.
I think I remember one year you had a bunch of parrots, like I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember if they're not toucans. I can't remember. Parrots are fucking loud.
They are, and I've heard people in England complain because, from their perspective, English birds sing, but Australian birds squawk. So that is the thing that they hate about Australian birds is the sound. Like they don't make pretty singing sounds; they make squawking sounds, and that upsets the English.
If they're talking about birds, then they mean the pigeons, and pigeons don't squawk; they coo. But they're terrified of them, so I wouldn't take that as anything to be serious about. That and the seagulls that they're afraid of. I know they have other birds, but
most of the birds around me are cardinals and blue jays, typical American birds, and they're not really big vocally. You don't really hear much because up here there's a lot of predators. There aren't many birds. There aren't many. If you see a cardinal or a blue jay, that's like everyone stop and look. Everyone see that kind of deal. That's how you react because there's so many predators up here that these birds have learned not to make any noise.
That's sensible.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a smart bird.
But they are really two very beautiful birds, obviously contrasting, one all red and the other one all blue. Yeah. But to see one, everybody stops and looks and like, don't make any sudden moves because if you do, they'll fly away. And everyone just kind of stops and stares at them. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a little zombie-ish, but there's so few around because of all the predators up here. I mean, there's man, I'll tell you, we're almost overrun with squirrels and chipmunks and stuff like that. It's crazy that you see birds anywhere because, I mean, every day there will be at least 2 or 3 chipmunks or squirrels on my porch in the morning. They're everywhere. We're overrun.
And Cynic says, better than a bin chicken, which is the Australian slang for an ibis. So yes, luckily I don't have to deal with ibises, but I just think bin chicken is such an awesome term. It's just I had to read that out.
I thought it was like a fire alarm or something like that. You know how the fire alarms and the battery goes bad and the fire alarm it chirps?
Oh no, that's a ceiling bird.
Ceiling bird. Okay.
Yeah, black people have ceiling birds, which is the smoke alarm that requires a battery change.
Defensively, Susan. Defensively. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was your alarm. I thought it was maybe a neighbor's alarm or something like that was going off. Yes.
No. As far as I can tell, all the high-pitched squeaking sounds of birds outside my window. I haven't heard any smoke alarms.
People from the UK give Americans shit because our houses are made out of wood, but you know, if I have all my windows shut, you can't hear the birds outside.
Yeah, but my window's open because it's too hot not to have the window open.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. You're right. Summer. Gotcha. Yeah. It's a little. It's an international cast tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But it's a little. Sometimes I don't make that connection because I get up in the morning. There's 3 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I mean, I have to remind myself that it's winter for you guys. So like, when you guys are complaining that it's cold, it's like, oh yeah, it's winter over there.
Yeah. Well, I'll be fair. It's been really mild. Like even the other day, as much as I was taking the piss out of your birds or the British birds, I had geese flying overhead. I was like, "You fuckers are still here," and they're like, "Honk, honk, we're not anymore." But no, we're in winter apparently. The most amusement I had was the hawk that figured out that there was a whole transit line full of pigeons and decided to nest there. The pigeons were like, okay, we can only last here for like maybe a week before this is going to be a problem.
And Cynic in chat has posted the song about birds. So if you want to know more about bin chickens,
no,
that song will inform you.
Tyr is playing into the stereotype.
Yeah. Like I will always give him shit for a ceiling bird. Like he says it's not his, and it probably isn't. It's just funny to pretend it is.
I don't know why this image just appeared in my head. You said bin chicken, and I don't doubt that when I click on that video, it's not at all going to be the image that I have. But I was like, well, now I've got Oscar the Grouch, and that leads to Big Bird. And then I had this image of Big Bird chasing a bunch of
A bin chicken is a bird called an ibis. You'll probably recognize it when you see one, but
oh yeah.
You shouldn't mention that other bird when Terry's around. You don't want to cause him drama.
Yes. We lost a war.
Are they?
Don't mention the war. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it.
The war. Are they really that much different than ostriches? Aren't ostriches just more plumey, but basically the same thing?
I'm not entirely sure what the differences between emus and ostriches are, besides location, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't think emus stick their head in the sand. But from what I hear, maybe ostriches don't do that either.
They don't.
Kind of a myth.
That's a myth. Yeah. I thought they were basically the same thing, except ostriches were black instead of like a tan, and ostriches have like a very plumy feathers on what used to be flight wings. And you guys are kind of like short hair.
I think emus might be smaller.
Are they?
Emus or ostriches. What the difference between?
That kind of makes sense because ostriches are actually pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
never seen one in real life.
Yeah,
I could see ostriches being. I could see both birds being omnivores more than necessarily being vegetarians, but so I could see an ostrich. Go ahead.
Emus are a lot smaller. So it says average weight of an emu is 18 to 60 kilos, which is 40 to 132 pounds. An ostrich is 63 to 145 kilos, which is 139 to 320 pounds. So that is a massive difference.
Yeah, the ostrich is faster too. Ostriches top out at 70 kph, and emus, the best they can do is 50.
Yeah.
I think the myth probably comes more to do with how they nest. Like, I'm not sure about the omnivore thing, but I could see them being more of an omnivore. But like when it comes to the nesting, like any kind of bird, they still have to rotate their eggs. So if you see how they do that, like it would kind of look like they're digging in the sand.
Yeah, there's a lot more differences here. Just going over what they look like. The top of the emu's head is level with their back, where ostriches' head is usually fairly far above their back, so they stand more tall.
Like it's for vision. It's for vision, like you could see all around you. But I could still see them. Like, listen, it's this thing that I've been fighting against with the vegans who are like, well, if they're eating vegetables and they don't eat meat, I'm sorry. I'm like, everything will exploit free food.
And Cannibalistic Wizard is pointing out that we should have just told, let's use the YouTube-friendly term tears people, that the emus tasted like fried chicken, and then there would have been no war. That we would have won effortlessly.
I think the cassowary is more scary though. Like they are more geared to gut you, and they are kind of more of a don't fuck around and find out. That's what they are.
It's a prettier bird too.
I think they're gorgeous.
The emus weren't like killing people directly; they were just destroying crops. That's like the whole emu war was. The emus would like destroy farms and destroy crops, and that's what the problem was. It wasn't that they were kicking people in the stomach and disemboweling them. It was that they were destroying the food supply.
I think they get the rap of being confused for cassowaries quite a lot. And even still, like, I kind of feel bad for the cassowary. Like, the fuck around and find out birds are usually, like, the ones who, it's about their babies. It's always about babies.
The face is different between them, too. The emu has a wide, not very tall face, where the face of the ostrich is almost square.
Ostriches are freaking enormous. Like, I looked at the website, and they're saying like the height of an ostrich. If I can find it again, almost 3 meters. Is like, or like over 9 feet.
Wow.
It's like, that is huge. It's
Yeah.
That is
fucking
huge.
enormous.
I'm 6 foot.
It's why I
Holy
actually couldn't imagine eating an egg. Like, that is actually too much egg for me. Like, it's like a carton and one egg.
I was right about the
Yeah.
wings, though. Emus have smaller wings.
Yeah, well, emus have smaller everything compared to
Yeah.
ostriches.
Yeah.
Cynic is saying that send Tears people to his hometown because it has emus and watermelon farms.
Oh. Yeah, we'll be off the air again for another week.
Well, I'm using the YouTube friendly terminology, so it should be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, why don't we take a look at? Why don't we get off of ostriches and emus for a while? I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want to cause any trauma beyond what we've done already. The other two topics for tonight, besides getting knocked out in the first round, De-ballot and Pierce. Do you guys want to pick one?
Well, I picked the first one, so Jen can choose.
I'll do the Pierce because I was a little bit.
Okay.
I got mixed feelings on this one. I'm a little bit outraged because I think Pierce is a great guy for sticking by his wife. Like,
Absolutely.
she's had four kids, and I'm sorry, it's unrealistic to think that everybody can just rebound the same way. It's entirely different resources being used. It's entirely the lifestyle. And maybe they decided that rather than wasting that money on making her super pretty so she can be a super famous person, they would spend it on their family. You know?
Well, I think he has enough money to do both, but
yeah, but
she's not less pretty. She's just overweight. That's a different story.
Yeah.
But
also, from what I've read, she's worked hard and lost over 100 pounds. So it's not
Really?
like she's not like she's just got fat and then said, "Suck it, Pierce. You have to put up with an overweight." No, she's aware that it's detrimental. She's put in work. She's lost a lot of the weight. Okay, she's still heavy, but she's also 60 years old. Everyone gets heavier as they get older.
Yeah, and she's had children. Like I said, like, I'm not meaning to lean on that, but like, I think their relationship's really great, and I appreciate that Pierce proved that no, actually, you can love somebody for who they are and not just.
But the thing that bothered me was the tweet that started it all was like a picture of them as a happy couple and saying, "Reminder not to get married." It's like, what would be a better outcome for a marriage than being together for 20 plus years?
That was a comparison picture of her weight.
No, I know, but like they're saying, reminder not to get married. It's like, what is the down? Like, okay, your wife will get heavier over the course of 20 years, and you'll get gray hair, and you'll get like using a couple that's been together for 20 years as an example not to get married is absurd.
Yeah.
And also,
there is a sorry, Jen. There is a phenomena there when people get married, they get heavier, and it's not just her; it's him too.
Yeah.
So I could see that as okay. Well, that's true. I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't really care if it's good or bad. If you're in love, it's irrelevant. But it is a truth.
And Assassin of the Grey saying, "Who's a couple? Pierce Brosnan and whoever his wife is. I don't know her name."
What were you going to say, Jen?
Well, that's just it, though. Like, I was going to say that, like, you can't always guarantee that the guy's not going to get big, too. Like, I think Pierce is forgetting that, like, when he looks in the mirror, he's not exactly a super skinny dude. Like, sir?
Pierce Brosnan?
No, Piers Morgan.
We're not talking about Pierce Morgan. We're talking about Pierce Brosnan.
Well, I know, but the person that was making the complaint about it. I don't know.
Well, they were showing pictures of Pierce Brosnan before with his wife before and after. Pierce
Like,
Morgan's overweight. I mean, it's clear he's almost Trump overweight.
Yeah, I thought he was the one making the bitch about it, and I was like, I don't know if you looked at yourself.
No, it was some red pill guy was doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But like, you can't guarantee that the guy's not going to gain weight either. Like, just the fact that he hasn't, well, good for him. He's got good genes. But
yeah, he's put on weight too, just not as much.
Yeah,
but like he's 70 years old. Of course, he's not going to look like he did when he was 50 or 40 or 30.
Like I said, it's unrealistic to think that everyone's going to live the same lifestyle or that they have to. Like, I think some people get to the point where, yeah, they're happy with being a little bit chubby with each other. Like they've become comfortable with each other for 20 to 25 years of a marriage. If you're not that comfortable with each other, there's something not right with your marriage. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I also think it's great that he's kept most of this private. It's one of those things where I kind of think that this is the part of the media that leans into celebrities that don't understand that they're gross.
Yeah.
I was saying, I think, is it No Soup for Knowles? I think was the one talking about it.
Yeah.
I said it's actually a double win for Pierce Brosnan because he's a celebrity, and celebrity marriages last 20 minutes, not 20 years.
Yeah.
The fact that a celebrity, a Hollywood celebrity, has had this successful of a marriage is just astonishing and impressive.
Well, he married for better term, a commoner. She's not a movie star. You know, so you know what to do.
Had something to do with it.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem like a person with a big ego either. He seems like a very centered person. So if you get, that's usually one of the big issues when it comes to marriages. You got two working actors, both with egos, both making big money.
Yeah, and
that's usually what causes all the strife. You have a guy who's reasonable and a woman who's not in the industry. That's kind of a record for success. Right away.
But even so, like obviously that helped, but a lot of celebrities would have the ego that would ruin the marriage. Like even if they married someone like that's not just as much of a problem. Like, can you imagine, say, Mick Jagger settling down with one woman for 20 years? I can't. Like, I think his ego would get in the way no matter who he married.
Yeah. I'm just happy they had a happy marriage. You know, I think that's, you know, I think that is something to celebrate in Hollywood. You're not wrong. Like it is rare, and it's nice to see somebody actually enjoy their life. You know, it's one of the things that I miss about Betty White is, she had some divorces, but her last husband was the one she loved. Like that was it. That was it at the end. And I think she's happily somewhere in heaven. I don't even know if I believe in heaven, but I hope there is one for her so she can be with her husband. Yeah. You know, and I admire that. I miss that. I miss that era.
I don't believe in heaven, but I mean, I generally I think her legacy is going to outlive her, which is more than most people get. So I think even if she's, just dead and buried and not in an afterlife, I think her life is a success, and I think her family should be proud of her.
Well, you guys know her as an older person from the Golden Girls. I'm a little bit older, so I remember when she was in her 35-ishes and 40s. And looking back at her pictures, Betty White was a very attractive young lady.
I like those pictures, actually. Every once in a while, you get the black and whites, from the work that she used to do when they, do documentaries on her. And she was very pretty, very classy lady.
The other one who I'm super impressed with is Michael Palin. I looked it up because I knew he was married to the same woman for a long time. Married in 1966. And the only reason that they broke up is that she died in 2023.
Oh, well.
So, from 1966 to this year, happy marriage. That is astonishing for someone as famous as Michael Palin was.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandparents were just regular people. And it's a little, by today's standards, it's a little creepy. But my grandmother on my mother's side got married to my grandfather. She was 15 and he was 19 when they got married, which is a little creepy getting married at 15. But back then it was a different world.
I wouldn't judge it based off of that time era, because that time era, that's kind of a normal story.
Not only that,
not normal,
but they
got
got married. They got married in Czechoslovakia because they weren't Americans. So the rules there are also a little different. But in any case, they got married, and she died at 77. And they were married the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see that anymore. It seems
no, you don't.
Rarer and rarer to see couples married for life. It seems to be married for a while, and then we get bored and we break up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with the Jack, just so you know. I'm just saying it's not an uncommon story. Like, era does matter. It does. Like,
Well, yeah,
I feel
society.
bad
Yeah.
because it does feel like you're always kind of ragging on the youth, but I hate to break it to them. I'm in that category too. But if you look at our grandparents' era and our great grandparents' era, we're a bunch of pussies.
Oh yeah,
Just saying.
Yeah, and if you compare them to like 2 generations before them, they're pussies. It's just
exactly.
Modernization has softened us as a species. That's just the way it works.
That's the weak men make hard times kind of thing.
But what
not just that. I mean, like physical strength, we don't need it the same way that our ancestors did. So someone who was as strong as me in the 1800s would be dead, because I don't have the physical strength to live in those times, because I'm like a wuss. I never go outside. I don't do weights. I'm like not exactly strong. I would not survive in bygone eras.
In nature.
Yeah, I wouldn't survive. I can admit that. Because someone who was as like had the strength level as me would not live to pass on their genes. Therefore, you had to be strong in those times if you wanted to have kids. But like, there's plenty of people who are weaker than I am who've had multiple kids, because physical strength is far less demanded of our environment now.
It's like I find that there's a lot of people that really want to admire the Victorian era, and don't get me wrong, the Victorian era makes it seem magical because it looks neat. It looks so classical, and they've got all this interesting mechanical stuff in it. But then you look into what the Victorian era was, and like people were working themselves to death. Like
No, that's right. Like life was a lot harder back then, so people had to be stronger to live in those times.
Yeah, so like, I don't question the age thing quite as much, because you realize that their kids were having to make adult decisions a lot sooner for a lot more sincere reasons. Like, yeah, you and your family are going to starve to death or freeze to death, or, you know, it's an entirely different view. So I can't question that part of it. But in today's era, yeah, I would. Like, if you were doing that kind of stuff, I would question a little.
And Frosted is saying I will be working in the shape mines, because he's absolutely fascinated by the fact that we have a snack food called shapes in Australia.
You aren't wrong, Mr. Adam. For some reason, a lot of people in power seem to have put us in the position where, yeah, people are working themselves a lot. I was reading some bullshit from people online where they're like, oh, I see people in line getting food. Clearly they're buying food. I'm like, sir, people eventually have to buy food. We get hungry. We don't want to spend that money on it because we're going to question our bills next month.
I do have good news for Frosted. While I was in Melbourne, I did in fact eat barbecue shapes. So
I also have good news for Frosted. We are broadcasting on YouTube in 4K tonight.
Excellent.
Were they good?
All for Frosted. That's the only reason I do it.
Frosted is a stupid name. Well, they're shaped like things, therefore they're shapes. What more do you want from them, Frosted?
What kind of things are they shaped like?
Like hexagons and circles and.
Oh, okay.
So, I think barbecue shapes are kind of hexagonal. I think the pizza shapes are kind of like more squarish. But yeah, like I will agree, it is a dumb name. Shapes doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't tell you what you're buying.
Yeah. The music outro poll is available. We've got 16 votes. I'm going to end it in a few moments. So if you haven't voted, make sure you get your vote in.
And Jack Gunsky is saying he's fascinated by the existence of fairy bread. Not that kind of fairy, Jack. Don't get too excited.
I'm kind of not. mostly because sprinkles like that are basically flour and sugar. So I'm like, you're eating bread with sugar with more bread.
Food objects.
Fairy bread is literally just bread, butter, and then what you call sprinkles, but I call hundreds and thousands.
Yeah. No offense. I'm more of a fan of cinnamon sugar bread. Like if I'm gonna do something like that, it technically is just butter, and then a little sprinkle of cinnamon and a little bit of cinnamon.
I don't like fairy bread. I even as a kid I never really liked it, but it is popular down here.
All right. Let's go ahead and end the poll before somebody votes and makes it a tie again.
Yeah, fair enough.
And we should move on to the next topic too. The De-ballot, which would be the thing with Trump, right? The thing with like started with Colorado. Is that what we're on?
Right.
Yeah. Dems always got to cheat. You know, if they can't win through merit, they got to cheat.
I've never seen them so scared.
Like, what has he got on them that they don't like? He didn't have anything on them before because he didn't do shit to them before.
What is their justification for removing him from the ballot?
He's a criminal.
So no one can ever be on any ballot ever.
Well, Biden's not a criminal. He hasn't been charged with anything.
Okay, so he hasn't been charged with anything, but like every politician is a criminal. It's just
I don't agree that Trump's a criminal, not until he's convicted. But that's what they're going to say. They're going to say he's a criminal because the left believes that if you're accused, you're guilty first.
Well,
where the Republicans say if you're accused, you're innocent first, like the Constitution says.
If an accusation is enough, then Biden shouldn't be on the ballot either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's a Democrat. He's allowed to be accused.
Okay.
It's a thing.
I think it's like I don't want to bring this in, but I'm going to anyway because I
bring it in.
I am excited that they've released 170. I heard 177, but I heard it is 170 names off that Epstein list. And
I heard about that.
And I know I'm mentioning Epstein like there's not more than one island. I think there's probably more than one island. There's always more than one island when it comes to that kind of weird shit. But I think it's more than 170 people too. I think that's just the start of it. And I think it leads into a whole lot of this stuff because it always comes back to pedophile rings. It always does. Like Prince Andrew is like gonna scramble a little bit because a lot of the names coming out would confirm that he was there with minors.
I saw a really brutal meme about that where there's a picture of Prince Andrew and the quote is I can't wait to grow up so I can marry a prince, and Prince Andrew says you don't have to grow up.
Right. I'm just saying that Bill Clinton's name hasn't come out, and I'm sorry if I would be very surprised if Biden isn't on that list because he.
Oh yeah.
Every time he's come up before he was even elected, he's sniffing children. He's touching them. He's pinching them. You can't tell me that it's a puppet show. It's a clown show.
He made a big speech about how he likes kids rubbing his hairy legs. I mean. That was weird and condemning, and I think more people should point that out.
Who the hell is Corn Pop anyway?
So he is a guy that was at the swimming pool, and he was on the diving board, and Joe Biden referred to him as Esther Williams, and he shouldn't have done that. He apologized for calling him Esther Williams, but he won't apologize for telling him to wear a diving cap and get off the diving board. I haven't heard this speech in a while, but from memory, he was like just a dude at the swimming pool, and then he didn't take kindly to Joe Biden kicking him out the way he did, and so he got a razor blade and he like rusted it all up, and some guy had a chain. I need to listen to the speech again to remind myself of all the details, but that's the gist of it.
It's amazing how his mind wanders. Iwan is even better than his movements do.
Yeah.
What was that comedian? The comedian, I can't remember his name. He said that Joe Biden is a Roomba.
Yeah.
Walked around like
People in chat are pointing out that he's a bad dude. Yes, Corn Pop was a bad dude.
bad dude.
But it's like a lot of the ones that have come out lately. I mean, I brought up this mayor last week, and I only remember her first name, Tiffany. I think it's because I'm worried I'm going to get her last name wrong. But she's legitimately kidnapped a full town. Like, she's holding them hostage from doing their work. Like, she's locked people out of their offices. She owes them like money because she's just been taking taxpayer dollars. And the Dems aren't wanting to talk about it. Like, it's the Black community that's freaking out. They're like, she's taking our taxpayer dollars to pay for her trips to Las Vegas, and so she can pay these people to do this and that for her. And she knows criminals on the streets who are like threatening people. Like, you've got a series of whack jobs in trouble. Like, I feel bad for you guys too. Like, as much as Canada's down the hole and you guys are looking at us, and I'm like, you should look at yourself.
Yeah, there's nobody that's more down on Americans' government than me. For much as I think Trudeau's a nitwit, I don't think he's nearly as dangerous as Biden is.
He's just on a time. Like, he's got 2 years to go, and so long as he's got that, that's all he's gonna do. He's gonna sit there and grift as much money as he can while he still can. But his odds of winning, if he were to run right now, are very, very slim. Even with the other parties backing him up, he doesn't have enough numbers.
Pierre's just gonna destroy him.
Yeah. We're all
I like him.
We're all pretty much done with him because we know this is a grift show. We know that he's just leeching us dry.
Yeah. I like Pierre though.
I like Pierre. I think he's going to get to the business part of what we need to get done. And that's getting us back to work, and
yep.
Back to work.
There's only one politician that I like, and that's Javier Milei from Argentina.
Yeah, Milei.
That guy is awesome.
He's funny. Yeah. I think he's amusing. But I hope the best for them. I also could see I could see that turning tides for some people in the US. Like, I think the refugee thing that keeps coming up, they keep pointing at South America, and I'm like, not everyone coming up over the border is from South America. A lot of people coming up are from places, China, Africa, Middle East. They aren't just South American, and I could see a lot of people from South America looking at this guy, seeing what he does, seeing if he does well, and then being like, yeah, let's do that again, and then going back because they have all the reasons they have a lot of resources that they can be utilizing themselves. They don't need us. They need themselves to actually just do something with what they already have, you know?
I hope whoever gets in grows ICE so that's a formidable group and tries to make America safe again, which would be nice.
No. Just put a big sign that says "Afuera" on the southern border.
Yes.
We need somebody like him. You're out, and you're out, and you're out.
Yeah, we need to.
Apparently, he actually did keep the promise to dismantle a whole bunch of government agencies that were on his list of ones that he was going to get rid of. So good on him. I hope he.
How many has he gotten rid of? Last time I heard it mentioned, somebody said he wants to get down to 9 from 20.
Good on him.
Yep, good for him.
More than half? Holy mackerel! But it's not like they don't need it. There's a lot of government there that they don't need. So,
like, if you've got like a Department of Women's Studies or Women's Affairs or whatever, get rid of that. You don't need it. If you've got a Department of various nonsensical things, sure. Like a Department of Equality or like a Department of Racial Equity, get rid of that shit. You need very few government agencies, really.
Well, I would get if I were in charge, if I were God, if I were in charge, I had this conversation. I don't remember where I had this conversation about who you would get rid of. I think it was last night on Discord for the Tuesday Discord meetup that we have. I asked everybody who they thought, if they were in charge of the government, what branch of the government or which bureau or whatever, you're only allowed to get rid of one. Who would you get rid of? So let me ask you two that question. You have the option to get rid of one, just one, from the American government. I know neither one of you are that involved with the American government, but if knowing what you know, what would you get rid of?
Get the IRS.
IRS, all right. Money, good. Jen?
That's a really good one, but it's either.
What makes it good is you're only allowed to get one, so you better make it a good one.
I would go after your teachers administration. Got the fuck out of that.
Teachers administration. Okay, so the Board of Education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what you mean.
That was my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, last night that was my choice, Board of Education, because everything in the United States starts with our kids. So if you keep their minds straight, then the country's going to survive.
That's a good choice too.
It's just the pure perversion, not just with the LGBT. I think that's just a blanket statement that they use so that they could be perverted with kids. I honestly do. I think they're using LGBT as, you're going to be our shield, and we're going to do horrible things to children.
There's some good, if you look in chat, there's some good suggestions there.
Yeah, Gunsky says Treasury.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
A few people agreeing with you on education, and a few people saying the ATF, which is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, if I'm remembering correctly.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all good choices. All good choices.
The other one up here, and I don't know what the ministry would be called, but housing. Definitely the red tape on the housing. Up here, it's probably causing you problems too, but it's absolutely impossible to get a new house. Or just to get an old house. Like, there's so much red tape, and it's so expensive, and we need to move people out of the big cities. It's just, that's a lot of the problems that we have. I don't doubt you guys have the same strain, but the truth is that the little towns need to grow bigger, or we need to create new towns.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't doubt that Pierre will win, is because he's actually told the cities and the little towns that part of the incentive is if you get to a certain percent, you'll get the money that you need.
Right.
And if you go beyond that, you'll get a little more money. But if you're under that, you're not going to get all your budget.
Yeah, for America, it's called Housing and Urban Development. Camo pointed that out. Keywordam also said the Fed is a good target too. That would free up our economy quite a bit if we got rid of the Fed.
Sorry, it was one, but like there's so many that could go on that list.
Yeah. That's why I said one, because you could sit here and name 30 or 40.
Name half the government, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do start with education, so I'll stand with that one, because I am so tired of what they're doing with our children. Like, and it's really, I feel the kids that are graduating are going to be really disappointed when they realize that they can't handle the jobs that they went into school for.
And Green Badger had similar thinking to me. He says, if you get rid of the IRS, I think a lot of other alphabet agencies also disappear because of lack of funding, which is kind of my thinking, is if you get rid of the government's money, or like reduce it significantly by removing the taxation, then they won't be able to afford all these ridiculous agencies.
That's a good idea. It wouldn't work in the States because Congress would do emergency funding for that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that would not work, but it's a great idea. Starve them to death.
Yeah, that was my reasoning. That's why I picked the IRS.
Yeah. No, it's a good idea.
Can I tell you one of the fears I had? It was irrational, but I had this fear of, so one of the things my province, or at least my city, was well known for was high education for engineers, especially in the oil and gas field. You know, the guys who go out there and build the rigs. They're not doing that. They aren't doing what I had fears of. But I had fears of them trying to plague them with the, the queer shit and the don't be racist shit. And don't get me wrong, you shouldn't be either of those things. But those jobs are seriously dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Like whether you're gay or you're a person of color, I think there are some things that are higher priority.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're doing that. So not in my province anyway.
Well, I meant to, I think I've asked you this before. When is the first opportunity for Pierre to get control?
Well, like I said, it would they would have to figure out a way to convince Trudeau to be crazy enough to run an election, which he's not. He's got enough people behind him who are telling him just sit still because we can still mooch more money off of you or off of taxpayers. They're trying to pull more of this new COVID shit, which isn't working well for them. But yeah, he'd have to call something. He's still in charge for at least 2 more years.
And then at the end of that 2 years, he's up for re-election again?
Yes.
Okay. So the earliest time without his cooperation would be 2 years.
Yeah. We would need cooperation from the other parties to have a vote of non-confidence. And he's somehow has jag meat, and the Greens are always up their ass. They want money, so they'll be up anybody's ass for money. And the Bloc is they're like, if you go this route, we're going to separate, and we're all kind of like, then go ahead. Not because we don't want French Canadians as part of Canada, but we're kind of tired of that bullshit. Like Alberta, if we're not allowed to do that in Alberta, then they can fuck the fuck off with that shit. And that's kind of how Canada is at the moment, because we're broke. We can't handle and support their policies anymore.
Well, we both have housing issues. I think that's really the thing that's hurting your people the most. That inflation.
Housing and inflation, like it's always an up and down. Like some food has come down, some food has gone up. Gas goes up and down. We're lucky right now because it hasn't been that cold. But if it hasn't been that cold right now, it's going to hit us later. My province
is it actually warmer now where you are than it is where I'm at?
It is -1 right now, but
it's -3 here. We're colder than you. Oh my God.
We've had a warm winter, but there's like an El Nino.
Yeah, there always El Nino. That and the polar vortex always conspire to make us cold.
So
and it's all your fault.
Yeah, well, I still have snow on the ground. I keep telling Monkey if he wants some snow so we can pretend like it's Christmas. I have some. It's not good snow because it's half melted, but
yeah, we got a couple inches on the ground too. I made a joke the other night on Twitter. I says, "Oh, it looks like a Pop-Tart outside. It's got frosting," and of course, our girl Lucky Pop-Tart sent me a message. It's like, no, I didn't mean you, sweetie. I meant an actual Pop-Tart.
Six in chat has a good idea. He would like to start the Flamin' Hot Cheetos party in Canada. How about it, Jen?
See, I am a little bit of a wuss when it comes to the spicy things, so I don't know. I mean, if I mix that with a regular bag, I'd be fine, because then I have a balance in the force.
I don't like anything spicy. I'm a very plain vanilla guy.
It's a hit and miss. Sometimes I want something spicy, and then I realize that I'm older. My buddy's like, are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, my taste buds tend to prefer milder things as well. I can handle some spice in the food, but generally I'm not trying to burn my mouth when I eat. So just something that gives the flavor of chili without scorching my mouth is usually preferable.
Jack says, is Hammer giving temp in Celsius? The nearest American hit him for me.
I mean, I can do the conversion for you, Jack. I know I'm cheating because I'm using if it lets me.
I have an international cast as part of this show.
Yes.
So I will be happy to speak in Celsius and kilometers. I don't know if you noticed that earlier when I was talking about the emu and the ostrich. I said how fast they ran in kilometers per hour. I said kph.
Oh
I didn't
yeah, I
say
didn't
miles
even
per
notice,
hour.
but yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't notice. That's the whole point, is that you don't notice.
Yeah. I'm just so
Yeah,
used to
it's
kilometers
33.
that it didn't register that you went out of your way to do that.
I mean, I knew he did. I figured it out right away, but I appreciate that. But yeah, it's 33 Fahrenheit, Jack. Which, it's cold. You wouldn't like that, but it's not the worst. We
really
were
hate
making
cold.
fun of New York people the other day because they were bitching about -9, and we were like, "Go fuck yourself."
Keep it in one's temperatures in Kelvin. That is not a sensible idea.
I do actually like most people I know from New York. I feel for you because I don't like a lot of the shit that I see coming from New York. Your politicians are crappy, but you know, nice enough people. But when they bitch about -9, I'm like, I wish I had -9, but I don't. I have -1, so they can keep it.
Yeah.
Wonder what that would be. I
Yeah.
don't know the conversion for Kelvin, but it's a much higher number, isn't it? Isn't Kelvin like?
From what I can remember, Kelvin is basically the same as Celsius, except instead of starting at the freezing point of water, it starts at absolute zero. So it's basically Celsius plus like 350. I don't know the exact number, but it's like 300 and something plus Celsius.
Fahrenheit to Kelvin. I'm gonna find a service online. So if it's right now, it's 28 degrees outside. So if I change 28 degrees is 271 Kelvin.
There it is. So
oh my god.
So Celsius is 273.15 less than Kelvin. So this was like, take Celsius, add 273.15, and you get Kelvin.
I hadn't heard the term El Nino for years either, Lisa. I think they're just reusing that term. And in all honesty, I don't know what's causing it. I wouldn't doubt that there's a lot of things involved. Like, I'm pointing fingers at our forest because they were on fire for like most of the summer. And I know it wasn't that much, but when you talk about our woods, it's a lot of trees that were on fire for a really long time. It was also in Quebec. They do get fires, but they have a different boreal forest to my side of Canada. So I wouldn't doubt that that's probably causing some problems. But I don't know. Like, I don't know.
It is after 10.
It
Why don't
is.
we wrap up the show, unless you guys have something else?
No, I'm good.
Not
Okay.
really.
All right. Well, we can get out of here then. Not a problem. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. Very active chat tonight. Happy to see that. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Hosts and start times are linked in the description down below. Don't forget about the Rumble pre-show. That stream will start generally a half an hour, maybe even 45 minutes before YouTube. We will be back. We will be back next Wednesday, because I haven't brought the stream down tonight, at 9 as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye,
Have
guys.
a good one.